Why did they continue these customs? They just changed the names of these gods. Why would they continue on with this whole ideology, which is basically Greek mythology, but make Roman mythology corresponding to these same Greek beings? That tells you it means something for them to take it. And then once again, they took it again and gave us, biblical religion as we know today. So it's coming from the same stuff. Now, when Jesus was born, there were 3 stars. And we know about the wise men, or the magi, who basically followed the 3 stars. So you got to understand what it's talking about here. 3 stars. One of those stars is basically Regulus. The other 2 is Jupiter and Venus. And the key to this whole thing is in the wording, is in how it's said. So if you look at Isaiah 14:12, we know it's talking about how you have fallen from heaven, a morning star, referring to Lucifer. And we know how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. Same type of situation. But again, you also have Jesus saying in Revelations that I am the bright and morning star. So what does that mean? Bright and morning star. That's 2 things when you see the word and. So bright and morning star. So you have Regulus, when he's talking about the bright and morning star, it's talking about Jupiter and Venus, which is the bright and morning star. So there's only one thing he could be referring to, of course, as I said, when Jesus was born, 3 stars. Jesus is talking about his birth. He's giving you an identity, a clue to who he is. So if he's saying he's the bright and morning star, the only way we can go back and figure out what that corresponds to is his birth, which we have a bright and morning star. Now we're talking about in real life here, when you put it together. So there's only one time of year that Jesus could have been born, and that's in June. This is why you see so much of the talk about, Christmas is a sham. Jesus wasn't born in Christmas. He had to be born in June. There's no way in the world, in December, you're going to be outside at night, giving birth to a baby. And none of it makes sense to astronomers when you start looking at, the stars and what could it possibly have been talking about with the 3 stars being in the sky. So the clue again is in the wording, bright and morning star. So you have Jupiter being the brightest planet in the night sky. That's the bright star. You have the morning star, the bright star, Jupiter, the morning star being Venus, which is the first star, first light you see. If you're observing in the morning, you're going to see the light of Venus. So the thing is, between June 17th and the 30th, you have, during this time of the year, you have Jupiter and Venus come so close together where it looks like they're touching. It looks like one huge star because they're so close together as far as looking at conjunction. So you have them come so close together and it looks like one bright star. So when he says I'm the bright and morning star, it's referring to Jupiter and Venus. So Venus is Lucifer, the light bringer. Easy to put together. Why? So Jupiter is God. So you have Venus, Lucifer, Jupiter, God. The Romans call Jupiter the father of gods and kings. And we know Lucifer is Venus. Venus is Lucifer. Lucifer is the light bringer. And you can make that connection easily understanding that the first light we would see, or the light bringer we would see, would be Venus in the morning. So Lucifer, son of the morning, which is light of the morning. Lucifer, the light bringer. It's easy to put this stuff together as it's corresponding to planets and constellations and what have you. But the Romans called Jupiter, as I said, the father of gods and kings. So you had Julius Caesar and you had Augustus, who both said that Jupiter was their father and Venus was their mother. So Jupiter, being just this, the biggest planet, was of course going to be put in that same realm as gods and kings. We talk about Saturn a whole lot, but more than Saturn, we see the worship of Saturn all the time, but more than Saturn, Jupiter is worshipped more in secret. Jupiter is the main god. It's the big god. But you have Julius Caesar being born in July. And during that month, it's when you have to the east of Jupiter this alignment with Venus, which is one of the reasons why he said what he said about being father and mother. But Julius Caesar was also the high priest of Jupiter Amman, or Zeus Amman. As I showed you guys when I went to the Cairo Museum, I showed you the head of Zeus Amman. It's the same as Jupiter Amman. And we know this stuff exists. It was in the Greco-Roman section in the Cairo Museum. And this stuff is there. I mean, like I said, they don't hide this stuff. All the stuff is there, showing you exactly where all this stuff corresponds back to. It's representing when you understand duality, plain and simple, masculine and feminine energies. So the thing with Jupiter is both male and female, while Venus is female. We've seen Jupiter as, strong male, but Jupiter has also been represented by women. Isis, Ishtar, Tammuz, all representing Jupiter, as well as Jupiter being this strong, dominant, masculine force. These three are all the same by different names. It's giving you androgyny. It's giving you the masculine and feminine energies, the yin and yang that make up us, but also all going back and referring to the sun, the moon, so on and so forth. This is all the same stuff in different aspects. As I said, Lucifer has many different aspects. Satan has many different aspects. So does God, so does Jesus, so does Osiris, and all these beings are all going to be corresponding and going back to each other, giving you different understandings and different aspects of what they represent, basically during different times of the year. It's that simple. During different transitions through the zodiac. Still corresponding with the sun, still corresponding with us, being the sun in our same masculine and feminine transitions that we have when we are basically going through the cycle of the zodiac representing all of us. And all of us understanding that in different incarnations, you went through the zodiac. So you had to go through the whole cycle. Think about the sun going through the whole cycle of the zodiac, and then your energy, your soul or spirit experiencing different energies during different times at different periods when the sun is in different constellations of the zodiac. And then you come full circle and you have all these experiences, which goes back to the nine. As I said, we are the nine, all of us, born in the 1800s, born in the 1900s, we are the nine, representing the completion of us going through all the cycles of the zodiac and coming back full circle. And now we have the opportunity in this incarnation of moving forward if we can unite the masculine and feminine energies and not, escape the will of reincarnation and everything that entails. Because, of course, there's no way of knowing. We don't know, what's going to happen if you don't. As I showed you guys in that video, the Power of Nine, is understanding how everything that has been happening is corresponding with this astrology, is corresponding to what the ancients have, researched and talked about for thousands of years on this planet. So now we know Lucifer is a god, Osiris is a god, Satan is the god of this planet, as the Bible tells us, and Osiris and Lucifer are basically, representing the Alpha and Omega. Osiris and Jesus, Alpha and Omega. It's all the same stuff, as I said, when you get into it. So you have to understand Lucifer. The literal translation, the Greek translation of Lucifer means phosphorus. And that would be the Latin to Greek translation. So H.P. Blavatsky tells you like this. She says, and now it stands proven that Satan, or the red fiery dragon, the Lord of Phosphorus, and Lucifer, or light bearer, is in us. It is our mind. Think about that. What does that mean? It is in us. It is our mind. And there are many comparisons between Satan, Lucifer, and phosphorus. If you look, you're going to see a lot on what that all entails. But phosphorus is a key element that's essential in all life forms, plain and simple. Without phosphorus, we wouldn't be able to basically exist energetically under the sun. It is phosphorus that allows us to deal with the sun, period, on every single level. It is phosphorus. Phosphorus is super important in ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, DNA and RNA. It's in our DNA, it's in our RNA. It's ADP, which is going to be transferring that energy and putting it where you need the energy at. super important is phosphorus. And when phosphorus is mixed chemically with oxygen, you get phosphate. So you have phosphorus and you have phosphate. These are two essential, important elements in the building blocks of life, plain and simple. So you have the alpha and omega, the beginning and end, corresponding with Osiris, Jesus, Satan, God, whoever you want to put it with. So now you have phosphorus exists in soil, it exists in rocks. Phosphate is an electrically charged particle. Now, those particles act as organic or inorganic fertilizers in soil and, basically coming from the rocks. Phosphate fertilizers are basically super vital to agriculture. And when you look at this phosphorus and phosphate cycle, you can see that, they are everything, because phosphorus and phosphate allows us, as I said, to organically deal with light and, as our energetic self. We couldn't exist without phosphorus. So as I said, it's essential to agriculture, and we can see clear as day who is the god of agriculture. Osiris. Who is the god of fertility? Osiris. Of growth. We're talking about this phosphorus going into the soil and allowing things to grow. And it's representing the rebirth, just like Osiris. When you look at the depictions, you can see clear as day what it's talking about. But there's more to this, of course. So it's one of the reasons why you have Osiris being green is because when phosphorus mixes with oxygen, it creates this green glow. And we know Osiris being the Jed, which is the backbone. You also have a sugar backbone. You have a DNA backbone. You have a phosphorus backbone. It's not just the actual spine, but it's dealing with so many different backbones of these things we're talking about. And as I said, they didn't make these words correspond with these things for no reason. It all goes back to the same stuff, and it just starts to boggle your mind as to how deep it goes back as to where they created this English language to make sure that backbone corresponds to something that's going to be represented with, associated with Osiris. So now all these things was ascribed to Osiris long before Lucifer, long before Satan, long before anything biblical was created. So we always go to the originator and say, these are aspects of Osiris that our ancient ancestors understood and knew and ascribed to him. So again, when we're talking about Osiris, when we're talking about all these different aspects and things that he represents, is more than just, some god to worship. And that's one of the things we try to get religious people out of the habit of just wanting to worship. Understand. I always get that question from Christians. If we don't worship Jesus, who do we worship? I don't want to worship Osiris. I don't want to worship Isis. And they look at this stuff, oh, y'all worshiping cows and goats and all this kind of stuff. And they look at this stuff as being silly, yet they don't think it's silly to, worship a man that, you can't prove he exists, that supposedly walked on water and all the other goofy shit that we see in the Bible. It's crazy. But another one of the reasons why I wanted to put this out was to get you guys into this understanding so you can be ready and have this knowledge to defend what you believe or what you know to be true. And you got to just, understand. There's a lot of people that's on YouTube that's giving y'all false information about Osiris. You're going to read stuff about Osiris actually existing. Remember, I told you guys when last time I was in Egypt, I went to the tomb of Osiris. When they found a tomb that's supposedly dedicated to Osiris, and I paid $1,000 to go down there. And you can't take no pictures, no photos. You can't even bring your phone down there. You can just go and see with your own eyes. And one of the things that I wanted to see for myself was the understanding of what Osiris was trying to represent. Other than fertility and everything, it's the message that you find there, fittingly so, in Saqqara, where you have the whole the Sphinx, they call it, and the whole association with Leo and the constellations, and then that being there, giving you the understanding that Osiris, who is the god of the underworld, the god of agriculture, is telling you to leave. So he's basically saying, when you're done here, get the fuck out of here. Don't come back here. Go to